Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Canadian Football Central, CFL content for the fans, by the fans. And we have another Stampeders player leaving, as the Minnesota Vikings have signed Jacob Roberts, linebacker for the Calgary Stampeders, to, instead of a normal futures contract, a 3-year deal with the Vikings. Jacob Roberts, 24 years old. He's played 2 seasons with the Calgary Stampeders. 6'1", 233 pounds. Born in Charlotte, North Carolina. Went to school at Wake Forest and had done pretty darn good there. Finds his way to the CFL. Plays 2024 as well as 2025. In his 2024 season, 6 games played, 4 defensive tackles, 10 tackles on special teams. So, again, as mentioned in the previous video that we did on Jalen Hutchings, in the CFL, special teams very much the way that you get onto a starting spot. 2025, 18 games played, 93 defensive tackles, still get some time on special teams with 9 tackles there, 4 sacks and a forced fumble. So, Jacob Roberts was just fantastic for the Stampeders in his time there, and was another key aspect of what was a very strong defense that had been able to put a lot forward. And as you were mentioning to me, Rick, before we started recording this, one area where this is different is he signs a multi-year deal. Now, Justin Dunk of 3 Down Nation did not have it reported. However, this is from the Canadian press, from CTV News, which as reported from TSN as well, for American viewers. TSN, that is just the Canadian version of ESPN, for anyone wondering. So it's a 3-year deal down in Minnesota. So how is this, because this video, just for those who have not seen any of our other ones, this is designed for kind of 2 different audiences. If you're a fan of the Calgary Stampeders and you're wanting to know who exactly you're losing, what's this guy all about, you're not going to be happy with this video because you're losing a very talented player. And if you're the Minnesota Vikings, a fan of the Minnesota Vikings of the National Football League, I imagine you're going to be pretty excited about this one. You may not be well informed who this guy is. And, it might be one of those things where he might end up as a great guy in the practice roster that maybe gets a chance if he comes in. Who knows? Maybe a guy can make his way onto the main roster. It really depends. There are guys like, even if we just look back within the past few years, we had covered it. It was one of the first videos we did on the channel back when Jake was my co-host. We had DeAndre Alford, who went from the Winnipeg Blue Bombers to the Atlanta Falcons and found himself a starting spot there, and I believe he's still there. So with this being a 3-year deal, it's obvious the Vikings have a lot more faith, because this does not happen very often, where a guy will go from usually they are assigned to what is called a futures contract, where a guy is essentially, he has some level of guaranteed money, and with that, no other team can now pitch in to get him. He's now exclusively with the Vikings, but it is not guaranteed that he sticks around, to which they'll either sign him to a better deal on the practice roster or on the main roster, depending on how it goes, or he'll be released, in which case a lot of these guys come back to the CFL if it does not work. So what is kind of the bit of the difference with this being a 3-year deal, Rick?
So I don't know how much of this deal per se is guaranteed money. Like a futures deal, pretty much in lamest terms, how I understand it all is, okay, you get invited to camp, and depending on how well you do, we'll sign you to a contract, to a practice roster.
You get invited to kind of some team practices and stuff like that you wouldn't necessarily be able. It's not like, for example, like players that are not under contract can go to a team workout. You know what I mean? You see that a lot of all over the place. You're able to kind of get into some other things when you're on a futures contract. But with this being a 3-year deal, even if they necessarily don't think that he's going to set the world on fire, this shows a level of confidence in him that you don't always see from the NFL towards the Canadian Football League and their players.
But at the same time, you have to realize, even though it's a multi-year deal, there's probably something guaranteed, like a certain amount of money is guaranteed, and then outside of that money, not
Oh,
guaranteed
absolutely.
crap
Although to be
because any
fair,
any player could get waived at any time.
you could say that about almost any contract. You know what I mean? There's
That's what
absolutely
I
a
mean.
certain,
So it's
yeah,
just
there's a
probably a
certain
training
level.
camp
Yeah,
contract.
there's some certain guarantees here that obviously I imagine Roberts is very pleased with. I saw they had even added him to the Vikings website there, but because I mean, if you kind of look back, like obviously, like I had mentioned before, I had said all the stats in 2024 as well as 2025. Played 4 years in FCS where he played 3 years at North Carolina A&T, in which case in his first year he got 4.5 sacks in 6 games, in which he started 6 games, and then 5 sacks the next year where he had started in 10 games. The year after started in 11 games, no sacks there, but did well with 72 total tackles. And then he went to Wake Forest, started 11 games there, had 83 total tackles as well as 6 sacks there before his journey to the Stampeders. So it'll be a bit interesting to see how well he does when it comes to the NFL because Canadian football is 12-man football and a lot of zone coverage. And so that's kind of maybe I wouldn't be surprised if that is kind of some of his strengths because usually Canadian football, like if you look at guys that are in the secondary or linebackers, usually they are more tailored towards a good zone defense as opposed to a man defense. Not that they can't do man defense. It's just that zone defense is the most popular in the CFL by a long shot because of the size of the field, because of the 12 guys. It just naturally has a bit better coverage. So the players get more adapted to that. They just do a bit better with that. You know what I mean? It's just if you practice something, you get better at that thing. So naturally, that I would say that his strengths cater towards that. And then, of course, like this year, he was able to be a bit of a problem behind the line of scrimmage. And he was just a very, very consistent piece for them. Like if we look here at at some of the depth charts, Rick, where in the depth chart was he playing? Because I think he was playing the weak side linebacker. Is
Who's
that
that?
correct?
Roberts?
Roberts. Because I
Give
believe
me 1 second. I can pull it up.
it was both Teets and Adam Bighill who had played in that middle linebacker spot, if I'm not mistaken.
As of the last, I'm gonna go week 18. He was weak side linebacker starter.
Yeah, he was the starting weak side linebacker. No, okay, I was pretty sure about that.
There was gonna be something else that I was gonna mention too. For those that do not know, I'm just trying to pull up the date. So for those that don't know that follow down south, so there's this signing player window that the CFL and NFL have, where from January 5th to February 10th at 12 o'clock p.m. on February 10th, which is when the CFL free agent window starts, teams can sign or CFL players to contracts to the NFL during that window. That is the only window that teams have for to sign players. Also, Carter, I'm gonna send you this link if you can put it in the description or even tag it.
Yeah, absolutely.
For it's gonna be the link from TSN that shows all of the CFL players in case people want to know who their
Yeah, no,
team
I'll have that in the description.
trained or you know um brought in for a tryout or whatever you want to call it, workout with their team. Also, do keep in mind these future contracts. They run until from January 12th minimum all the way up to August 15th, which is from week 6 of the CFL to week 11. The reason why I say that is because that's when the CFL or NFL preseason goes.
Yeah,
So even if they don't make NFL camp and they get cut, they would not be coming back to the CFL until at least September, because you got to remember, even if you get cut from the NFL, you get waived, you can still be picked up by other NFL teams. So it does not necessarily mean
Yep.
that you come back, because other players
I
will
think this
hold
is
out
how
and
a
say if
Chris
there's any
Strebler bounced
NFL.
around the NFL.
I mean, that's how Curtis or Nathan Rourke did it before he
Nathan
came
Rourke as
back.
well. Yep. Yeah, makes sense.
So there's, I just wanted to throw that
So,
out there.
long story short, if you're a Stampeders
Yes,
fan, this definitely hurts. This is a guy that you want to keep around. But again,
'cause-
like I said, this looks good on the organization in terms of the way that it turns around talent. And the good news is that as much as it can kind of stink when you lose guys to the NFL because they did so well, if it ever doesn't work out in the NFL, those guys usually end up coming back to the roster that they left. You know what I mean? Like usually, not always.
so
A great example of a guy
I
who didn't
have
would
I
be
have one.
like I guess what I
I
was
was
saying
gonna
is
say I have one theory.
like I was gonna say most guys ends up back. Like if we look at a Joe ends up back with Saskatchewan, Ontario Wilson back with Winnipeg, Nathan Rourke back with BC. Doesn't always happen. Drew Desjardins left the Bombers, came back as a member of the Ottawa Redblacks. So doesn't always end up, but usually those guys come back to their clubs if they're coming back to the CFL at some point in the future.
So my theory is, regardless if they move on to another CFL team, if they go down to the States, I always have this mentality as next man up on the totem pole, because I'm sorry,
No, and
unless
well, and you know what the thing
you're
is?
making six figures in the CFL, any player is replaceable.
Well, and you know what the other thing is? The next man up mentality. That's how you find out that a Jacob Roberts is that level of a talent. How do you think Jacob Roberts got his opportunity with the Calgary Stampeders? He was the next man up. He got the
True.
chance, he took advantage of it, and now he's going off to the NFL. And even whether he's there for a long time or a short amount of time, he's gonna make a lot of money. The NFL doesn't deal in small bills. They don't. You know what I mean? Even
No.
the smallest NFL bill is a lot of money. And so it's one of those things. He put the hard work, he paid it off, and it's paying off for him. Congratulations to him, and nothing but the best for him. And if you're a Minnesota Vikings fan, it's one of those things. Does this pan out into anything huge? Maybe it does. Maybe it doesn't. But all we can say is that he looked fantastic in the Canadian Football League. And so there's definitely some potential with him. And so yeah, I think that's kind of where I'd like to leave this off. If there's anything else you have, Rick, is there
Nope.
anything? Well, thank you
Nope.
guys so much for tuning into this video. Make sure you guys leave a like on the video, share it around, and subscribe if you haven't already. If you're an American fan that has never seen our channel before, make sure you guys subscribe as we've covered all CFL content. So learn about our beautiful game up in the Great White North. And also, if you guys haven't, make sure you guys join our Discord. Link in the description below to our Discord. We discuss all things CFL, NHL, all sorts of sports stuff, even some NFL or NCAA sometimes. We got some fans of that in there. So make sure you guys join that up. And yeah, peace, love, and positivity to all you wonderful people at home. We'll see you guys next time.